we're in the bus. So what I'm doing is we're cleaning up these frames, which the panels sit, and this is a little wire brush. So we're gonna use that to clean up all the little scale, get all that sealant off of there and glue, vacuum everything up, and then I'm gonna start screwing boards together to make hatches. Hi, I'm Chris. Yeah, that's not me. That's me. I do a little bit of everything. Even I don't know what projects or things I'll be getting into. So follow along and hopefully we'll both learn something. Make sure you press subscribe, hit the bell, and smash like. This is 11th Hour Custom. We're gonna make 2 single hatches here, and then the rest will be double widths all the way down until we get to the very front. So we're gonna paint all this with POR 15. It'll be black, but it's okay. It's under the floor. As long as it's treated with something and stop this rust somewhat. So much oil in here, I don't think it'll ever rust. So we're just gonna get all this off so we can get these boards fitting so they're not impossible to get up. Okay, so last night I did some wire wheeling all the way up to here. As you can see, I got my homemade dust collector. Maybe I'll do a video on how I made that out of buckets. You can see some of the stripped caulking. It's a shame, this bus was pretty at one point. I'm gonna vacuum up all this crud and the mess I made in here all the way out. I'm gonna start painting the POR 15. Let some of that dry and then start working from there up and vacuuming and cleaning and wire wheeling while the first coat back here dries. I keep a screw in the top of it because it literally turns into like hard plastic. I pour a little in this cup and we use one of those disposable brushes. So the first coat will be somewhat dry by the time we get to the front. So I do it section by section too, because I walk through here all the time and I can see myself walking through it and destroying other stuff. Literally, I'm putting this on here so that there's a barrier between the moisture and the wood. Hi, I'm back. It's the same day, just a different shirt because I was sweating. I went to get some hardware for the hatches and the store didn't have it, so I'm gonna order it online. The first coat's dry. You can see it's got like a matte satin finish kind of. The second coat we'll put on now, and then that way by this weekend it'll be nice and dry and we can start cutting all the wood and putting all this back together. But for now I just wanted to get this part of it done before I get the bed back in and all that stuff. So the only section that's not painted is the very front. We can do that anytime. There'll be nothing over top of that. I get this painted up and I'll show you the finished product. Alright, we're low on the battery, I gotta make it quick. I don't know if this video is gonna take, but I finished the second coat. It's drying now. You can see it's very shiny when it's wet. It'll dull up a little bit. It looks pretty good. So all the way down until we get to, because I'm out again, 7 o'clock. So I'm walking over the pit. So we got all the way up to here. As you can see, the old hardwood floors and there. This part we can paint at any time. There's only a couple spots. I just want to move on for now, get this thing running, work on some other things so we can get driving this thing. And I really want to be able to get to the bus show in Trenton in September. And I mean, it's not going to be a presentable bus, but I'll clean it and get it going as best I can. And we're not going to have carpet or anything. We'll have something in here, I guess, but it's not going to be pretty like it was a lot better looking. I will check back with you tomorrow or whatever, and we're gonna start measuring these hatches and start laying these boards back where they were. But our main goal today is to get all the boards cut to size. Some of these boards we gotta cut up because they're kind of rotten on the ends and this and that. And a couple of the boards I destroyed in the front, taking them apart. But for now, we're backed up in front of the garage. I can go right out this door and into the garage. I'm gonna start in the back. Let's get cracking. We're making 2 hatches here because of this line you see is the bed. So let me show you a couple of the hatches that we kind of made just so you get the idea. So these are the pieces left. And as you can see, these will be screwed together so that you have that overlap. So we got to make some pieces to fill in these ends. I'm trying to use the wood that's left over, finish these two rear ones, and then we'll move to the next section. Hopefully from there out it gets a little smoother, because that midsection past the bathroom and the kitchen, the floors are like uneven. I don't know what was going on there. They had rubber in between and stuff, so we'll have to put something in between there to make it up as a shim. Maybe another piece of rubber or something. We'll pick this up tomorrow. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Let me show you what we have going on so far. These three hatches are basically mocked up. I say mocked up because they're not glued. The boards aren't glued together. They're not permanently screwed. And then I planed the sides a little bit just because I don't want them to fit exact. I don't want them to get swelled or jammed in there. This one won't have a handle, but this one will. This one will have a handle on that end. Right here, this piece is going to go in here, just so the lip's a little more solid, and you can see there's a difference from here down. I'm going to glue a piece of rubber, and that'll keep that from rocking. And you can see too, this side's a little low down there too. I'm still working this out. This fourth hatch is slow going. It's coming. This is probably the worst part, is this section here. Now let me explain that. These panels were from a panel jam that I did with my friends, and these were to hold artwork, and I made them, and they've been sitting in my shed. But it's a shame to tear them down, but at least I'd rather have them part of my bust than go to crap. What can you do, right? I cut those at 18. As of right now, they're even with the sides, but then we get to this other piece, and it's kind of sinking in the center there. You can hear it. Right in the center, it's a little low. Right about here, it feels a little mushy, but it feels low. So for now, I'm just gonna temporary screw this, probably like maybe 8 to 10 screws, just so it's a solid hatch. And then we'll sort out the shimming part of it, which I just gonna take a couple rubber strips and kind of lay them along the sides and see if that fixes it. So it's moving along. It's not going as fast as I want it to go, but it's moving. Quick side note, this floor becomes uneven down this end, so we're gonna have to put a rubber strip on that edge all the way down to there. Over here it looks almost like the whole length. We're gonna need a piece of rubber on that edge. I took a few minutes and with the heat gun scraped all the liquid nails off, and you can see like these boards took a beating from prying the other boards off of them from being glued together, and it destroyed the top layer of these. These two boards still fit in place like perfectly, and I'm holding on to them for now. And if I have to do one layer of that 3/8 and a piece of Luan or something, then that's what we're gonna do. I'm back from a long hiatus. I'm finally gonna cut these last two hatches. Get a little patch of 3/4 to put in there and there. And I think I'm gonna shim this rail up until it's even with that one, so it's just a 1/2 inch layer on the top. So we'll probably make shims across these too, which in that case I gotta finish scraping this glue off. It's not private jet quality, but it's better than it was. I trimmed up this corner here up there, and it's nice and tight. It's not perfectly square. It looks like there's almost about a 3/8 difference in these two floors. I got some of that ripped down. I'll have to see if I have the width right. At least we'll have a solid floor in here and nobody has to fall on their face. And then we'll move on. We'll cut those pieces up that we need. And then we'll bring them back and we'll glue and screw and clean up and try to get all these pieces fitting just right. These are the last two shim pieces cut. I actually had them laid out the other day, but I never finished cutting them. They're all roughed in place and they fit pretty good. So now we have the underlayment of these last two hatches. I don't want it to fit too tight, but just walking on it, it's solid. So we put this board over top, which will be the top of the hatch, because that one fits there exactly. You can see it fits down perfectly. We can start making all these hatches permanent with the hardware and everything. What I mean by permanent is, so they'll be taken back apart, glued together, screwed together so they're solid hatches. And then this one here, I gotta put a shim or something, like a piece of rubber on the frame rail. But other than that, like all that rubber and stuff that was underneath this floor, it seems like we don't need it back in here. I'm pretty happy with all of it. It's pretty solid and it's not permanent. Removable hatch covers, that's the key to this whole thing. We have access to this at any time. All right, last piece cut. This is the piece. Oh, looks like it's got blood on it. Make sure this fits, and then the hatches are completely mocked up. So now we can just worry about getting the hardwood floors patched, like laid out. But I don't know if we're gonna get all that done this week before the bus show. And she fits good. So I'll screw that down and we'll be done with mocking up the hatches. Hello. We moved the bus over to make room to get that in and out. So we can't keep the van outside. We're in the bus. I got the first piece of wood flooring back in. So you can see, like, we're gonna have to cut a line from here over, and these two pieces will be attached to that second hatch. What we have to do is figure out the other pieces all the way back. I got almost all the floors laid out, except for where I didn't cut on the lines back there. The plan is that I'm gonna remark these distinctively so I know, like say this hatch ends here, and keep all these together. And we'll get this first one laid out, and we're gonna work our way all the way back to the end of the bathroom. Before I glue anything down, we'll get that rocking out of there. And then we're gonna come up with some kind of jig to router in the hatch hardware. I don't think it's gonna look too bad with the lines cut in it. There's a little bit of an offset towards this side, so we're gonna try to figure out something to shim up this side. This first one's gonna need some custom finesse. You know, this is what was on the hatch. It's a little thicker and someone shaved it down on this side. So we'll staple this in place and then we'll cut it in strips, and we'll do both sides with that taper in it, and then we'll try to hatch again. Pull out the staples with a screwdriver or something rather than taking a chance of ripping it. So that way when we glue it down, it'll fit a little better. I'm going to try to fit the hatch again. We're going to put that thickness all the way down. Now we're right where we want to be with the floor height. What a pain in the ass, man. As you can see from the drive, just going to the bus show, a lot more dirt suddenly appeared from somewhere. There's still some more securing I got to do in here and all, but if you look right here, this is why we need to offset this hatch. So the center of this has to be where that little tang turns, because we don't want to come near these hoses and have it rub. But I mean, we have a little bit of clearance on that one. The one back there I think is worse. So maybe we can do away with the clamp and just zip tie it through there, and then we'll see what we're dealing with further back. I really don't want the hatch all the way over here. I don't want to rub anything. We can do what we got there and bend this down some. So that gives us clearance like that, just with it bent. So we'll measure this and figure that out. Measure that offset, and that's fine, as long as it's not touching that metal below. I drilled 2 holes in each corner, and I'm going to take that reciprocating saw and try to salvage this piece of wood. So the piece that we cut out of the hatch template, so then what we're gonna do is use this to make the template for the rest of it.
that? We'll work our way down. So a little bit bigger won't hurt. When we cut this, we're going to cut this template first and then the other one. All right, so now we're oversized, which is a little better. So that's it. So now we just cut this square out, and we'll cut the square a little oversized so the template doesn't fall apart. But that's our first router cut, is that this deeper one. So we're going to cut it to this depth of this oval. Then I'm going to take a Forstner bit and drill this depth. First, second, third. You like making patterns? Okay, so now we'll get that little piece of wood and we're going to trace this out into the wood so we have an insert. So that's what we really need to cut in here. Then what I'm thinking is we take a piece of pattern board, go over this and screw it down or glue it or tape it, and then we'll measure the total offset for our router with the bushing. So now we just drill it from the other side. Then we'll just take the reciprocating saw and connect the lines and smooth it up. So this is the rear bedroom hatch. My plan is to unscrew side by side, and then we're gonna put this glue on there, wipe that around, glue the hatches back down. So we'll do it piece by piece. I'll mark these just to make sure the holes line back up. All right, so we set this plunge router up, and the depth is set at 7/8. So to recess this completely, we need a 1/4 inch, which is here. The template is 5/8. Together, that's 7/8. So this is our test run. That's what we're doing with this rear hatch, and then we can put the bed back in. We don't know how close to the collar this is gonna cut, so we may have to get a smaller bit to make this template larger. So I went up probably an 1/8 inch in bit size, and you can see it's almost exact on the collar. Looks like I might have rubbed a little bit. Here's the template cut out. So it looks pretty good. You may have to do a little bit of trimming with a chisel just to get it close. The next part of this would be routering this and then making this actually an 1/8 inch shallower. So that's next. To show our two-step template. So this is what we ended up with, which is probably perfect. So we'll have to chisel out these 4 corners and then maybe clean this out. So then what we're going to do now is we'll use this one because it came out of here like this, and then we're just going to drill a hole to give us the center mark for that. As soon as we chisel out the corners, we'll try to set this in here like so. All right. A little bit of handwork isn't too bad. I'd rather have a precise fit by the time we get to those. Picked up 2 Forstner bits, a 7/8 and an 1.5 inches. So hopefully that'll make this job a little easier. Let's try that out. We don't have to chisel it. Nice. So I'm going to show you where we are at on the hatch hardware. So this is where the hatch hardware is sitting right now. So we got to put the screws in. and the gap's not too bad. This is set up to be stepped in 3 different depths for the 2 templates, but it's set for 3, but we only need the 2. So we got the hatch in place, right? So we took a square, measured the distance from the top of the hatch to the bottom, which was 2 3/4, and then we measured from here to this top part, right? So it's 3 1/8. So that's about where it should be. And I could just feel that drag, and that's locked in tight. Hey, thanks for making it this far in the video. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. As you can see, I'm finally pulling up the tape that I put down on the hardwood floors to keep them together. In the next video, I'll be finishing up the floors, redoing the front step. I start some upholstery projects in the front driver's area. Hit that notification bell. That definitely helps me out. So getting this tape up is a huge deal for me. Here's the last piece. So take care. I'll see you soon, and thanks for watching.